I'm trying, guys. It's just being I keep losing Wi-Fi. I apologize. And I don't know how long you can sit out here because you're at the very edge of the porch and the storm will absolutely get you. Trying to put my hair. God, it's hot. Lord have mercy. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, let me go look and see how it looks from the other side. The wind is picking up. So we'll see if I'm trying to move it. We'll see if y'all get to stay here very long. That's about as good as it's gonna get, guys. I'm out here watching my own live stream on my iPad. Oh. This is the first day it's been remotely quiet here due to some issues next door. So I'm gonna let you try to enjoy the storm. If you see these things flopping, it's just lights. I'm gonna take my flags down and let y'all enjoy the storm rolling in. If I have to come back out and save the phone, I apologize. I'll end the stream. Okay, got my flags down. I may have to come back out and save my phone when the rain starts. But enjoy the rumbles. boobins because it's wrapped around and now it's coming from the other direction. See if I can get over here. I don't want pigeons where maybe it won't fall if the wind puffs up a little bit. Maybe. Guess I need to move my mop. Let's see. It's definitely moving in. Just trying to find a vantage point that will work. Oh, the wind just shifted. It's coming in. Oddly enough, it's coming out of the north now. Started out south, split, went around the hill, wrapped around. Now it's coming out of the northeast, which is strange. I'll get this camera set in just a minute. Maybe it won't blow over. Margaret, you're currently facing west northwest. So it's coming this way. But we have the storm on the backside that's coming the other way, so we're in a little whirlpool. That's what happens when you're the high point. There is a big cloud, a high cloud, right in that gap between the willow and the pine. It's hard because of the light, but it's pretty decent high cloud. So part of it did climb the hill. So if you're wondering what happened last week, let me hang on. Let me pull my door to a little bit. Maybe Luna won't go crazy. Stay, Lulu. If y'all saw me get up during mine and Sabrina's live, it was because there was a lady came to the fence that was screaming her head off, and um, I went over because she just kept yelling, even though me and Sabrina were kind of doing our own thing, kind of hidden on the side of the porch. I had to get up and go see what she wanted, and the boy and her had been camped out behind the burnt trailer in a tent. We'd known that for a couple 3 weeks. Been having a lot of fights, a lot of domestics. The night before, they had fought for 2 or 3 hours, and my company ended up leaving due to the way that they were fighting. Nobody wanted to witness anything because we thought it was getting pretty bad. Um, Next morning, they started it again, and she came to the fence and she was squawking, and I went over to see what she wanted because she wasn't going to stop yelling. And she wanted to apologize for the behavior. And I said, well, if you're wanting to apologize for the behavior, why don't you just pack up and leave? You don't belong here if you're willing to apologize. And I offered to take her to a women's shelter. She told me she was pregnant and her blood sugar was dropping. And so I went in and got her a bowl of homemade Alfredo and beef and a Mello and took it to her. And I told her if she's willing, I'd take her to a shelter the next county over. She declined. And I said, well, that's all I can do. And I said, so after this, basically don't come back to the fence. That's all I can do. Um, she then asked for an extension cord, and I said, no, the last time he was dragging it into the building and locked it in there where I couldn't get it back out. I don't know what you had plugged up. I said, I'm sorry, I can't do that anymore. And he got back from wherever he had been, and they started sitting fighting again. It got so bad that Sabrina and her husband decided they needed to leave because it was just unnerving. It really was bad. And so when he went out to start packing stuff to the vehicle, I had went to the bathroom down the hallway. Coming back up the hallway, I heard a thud, and he came in the door and was like, that was a gunshot. It kind of scared him. So I ran on the porch and I yelled, what the crap's going on over there? Of course, he said nothing. You basically mind your own business. And he kind of sassed me. And I said, boy, you don't talk to me that way. I said, Ian's been fighting for days. I said, now I hear something sounds like a gunshot. I said, I'm concerned. And I said, I think I just need to call the law and let them sort this out. And he started sassing me. I don't remember what all I said, but it got pretty heated between us. And I told him to climb the fence and come on over if he had a problem, which he then got in his truck and left. And I waved at him. Piece of crap. And he just left that woman there. She never came around the building to let me know she was okay. I still didn't know what the gunshot was. So I called the law and I said, hey, listen, they've been fighting for days now. I said, my company left due to the behavior. I said, then there was a gunshot. I said, I just want you to come see if she's okay. I said, because she's not showing herself and I don't know. And I said, I'm not going to go over there and check. So they had a deputy come over. He gave me a thumbs up and then he called me and he said, I offered to take her somewhere too. She doesn't want to go. And I said, well, that's 2 transport offers she's had today. I said, I'm done. I'm done. And in the middle of all this, she had asked for clothes as well and stuff like that. I was getting kind of irritated with it. And he stayed gone till like way in the wee hours the next morning. And then he came back, and while I was out and about, he packed up and vanished. All of them vanished, but they left the dog over there. That was Tuesday morning. Monday evening or Tuesday morning. I can't remember. Anyway, nobody had been over to feed the dog. And I was like, that dog's going to die. And it took to squawking yesterday like something was killing it. And I called the area. We don't have a humane association or ASPCA here. I just called the area volunteer people, and they said call dispatch to see if they can come and check on it, and if it's being abused or neglected, they can file charges. Well, I called dispatch. I said, this is what she told me to do. And I said, here's the TCA code. And they said, well, we don't have anywhere to hold the animal, so we can't charge them with anything. We're not going to investigate that. It's a waste of our time. And I said, well, I have laws if we're not going to hold them. And they got kind of sassy. I called the lady back, and she said, well, that's a crock of crap. So she called dispatch and lit a fire into their butt. An officer did finally come out about an hour later. I had been trying to find the family all morning to say, somebody come get this dog. He just left it. It's going to die. It's 105 here today. The dog's going to die. He finally showed up and the law pulled in behind him. And the officer came over to talk to me, and I said, just before you got here, I said, the landowner called me back. I said, it's taken me about 3 hours to roust anybody up. And I said, he's not supposed to be over here. He's not supposed to be on the land at all. I said, he's been living in a tent in the backyard with his girlfriend. I said, they vacated after it got heated the other day. About 5 days of fussing and fighting came to a head. And I said, we had words. And I said, I told him I wasn't going to deal with this crap anymore. And I said, I told him I was calling the law. And I said, he fled. And I said, left this freaking dog. I said, this is the fourth dog they've abandoned this year. The other three, we were able to get to the uh, area shelter in the next county over. I said, this one's just been left tied up. And I said, I'm over this crap. I said, I can't have a moment's peace here. And he said, well, I'm going to feed it and water it. And the officer said, well, if you're going to maintain it, he said, then that's fine. He said, but you have to maintain the animal. And I said, how's he going to maintain the animal when he's not supposed to be on the property? And the cop said, well, how do you know he's not supposed to be on the property? I said, cops escorted him and his entire family off the other night and served them. I said, I just spoke with the landowner. And she said, yes, we formally evicted them. He's not supposed to be here. So the landowner was like, okay, well, I'll call dispatch and update them, and they can go ahead and charge him with trespassing so this will stop. And I said, okay, thanks. So I thought, well, something's going to get done. Well, then he was back and forth 2 more times after that. David got home, and I finally had a minute to talk to him because I've been run ragged. And he said, she ain't going to do nothing. The landowner ain't going to do nothing. I said, how do you know? He said, because I told her 2 weeks ago they staying over there. He said, she'll tell you what you want to hear. He said, just like that whole family. He said, but she won't do anything. So they are at least gone. I think they're gone because we had words, and I told them, I know what you're up to, I know what you're doing, and by golly, I'm going to pay attention and get you caught because I'm not putting up with this crap anymore. You want to funnel drugs and you want to act like a derelict, I'll treat you like one. And so they fled, but they left the dog. The dog's still over there. He did feed and water it yesterday, but the landowner told the cops, he's not supposed to be on the property. How's he going to come back and feed and water and maintain the dog when it's not supposed to be on the property? But the cop left and acted like it was resolved because we have a backwoods idiot people around here. Let's just call it what it is. So I fully expect the dog to probably die at some point. I've done about all I can do. And I've had to be very careful around here when I'm around here and outside. I've had to keep a firearm on me at all times when I'm outside the door. Don't know who's going to roll up and what they're going to be aiming to do. Here's the brain. Hallelujah. And just having to be very careful and very, very wide-eyed because, these are criminals. These are, 30-year criminals. They don't follow the law. And I have put a spoke in the wheels of their multiple businesses and hiding out in properties. And so I don't expect them to be very kind about it. They want to say, oh, we need help. They'll ask you for food, clothes, money, electricity, and then they'll, crap on you the first chance they get. And when you stand up for yourself, they get really offended, but they don't understand that I've been offended for several months now. And I've been as kind as I can be, and I'm done. I double barreled him. I said, well, I fed her for you this morning. You're welcome. That's when he shut up and went and got in his truck. I said, I'm tired of being bothered. I said, fill the gaps for you people. And I said, I can't avoidance because you come to the fence row and just scream, scream, scream until somebody answers you. And I said, I can't live like this anymore. If I did not get my brakes down the hill, I don't know if I could handle this as well as I've handled it. So that's what's happened. I've had to be on, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, wide-eyed, just to make sure I'm okay this week because y'all know I'm a retired parole officer, so I know when I make an enemy. I know I tick them off. And, I had to call their bluff, and I had to tell them their behavior had to stop, and then I knew what was going on, and that, I was very aware that they were running an enterprise that is very, very, very much illegal. And I said, if this is behavior, I said, I don't want this here. I said, so every time there's an issue, I said, we're just going to report it to the law. We have lost to date about $14,000 to $16,000 on our property because of the mess next door. We have spent around $1,700 since their trailer burned to keep all of their various pet life, creepy crawlies and everything else, over there and not on our property. It has been a burden. On top of that, we've been begged for money, food, clothes. I helped them get arranged with all of the area charities and the Red Cross after the fire. I tried to do everything possible. I hooked them up with everything to get clothes and necessities after the fire. I tried to be a good person. Ooh, lightning. And they took that as a sign of weakness and thought they could milk me. Well, I am not a Holstein cow. And when I stood up, he threatened to harm me, and I said, "Well, bring your butt across the fence." I said, "You can hit me twice so I can wear a bruise, and then I'm going to introduce you to the dirt and call the cops." Because you have to wear a bruise so I can say he assaulted me. Ooh, it's going to come one. Well, it's going to skirt around us, but at least it's sprinkling. I'll take whatever I can get. Uh, and then the cop verified that the smell we were smelling all spring was that they were actually burning human waste. But the cops won't cite them and nobody fined them. Even though they broke the law and created an environmental biohazard, nobody will do anything because they know that they don't have the money to pay the fines. So it'd be a waste of the state's um, basically time and efforts, and they wouldn't get recouped because they wouldn't pay the fines. I said, so they can just say I'm too poor to pay the fines and you won't even fine them. So there's your tip. If somebody comes to fine you for something, just tell them you're poor. It's been frustrating. No one will hold them accountable because they just expect this behavior from them. And I'm like, you should expect the same behavior from everyone. It should be uphold the law. When you violate the law, that's when you act. Sadly, we don't have that here. So I've been watching my back and being careful and handling a lot of stress. We've got a lot of stressful news health-wise this week from the family. We're just trying to get through and ride the highs and lows and get through it. And this should be my sanctuary, and it was not my sanctuary. I was not being able to rest and recuperate here. I was being harassed and bled dry. And I put an end to it, and they got mad. So I'm very aware that I ticked them off, but I think now they're very aware that I'm also ticked off. So maybe we're going to have a good, buffer for a while. They know they needed to vacate. The landowner still says he's not allowed over there, but will not go and file trespass, even though the cops saw him there, talked to him there, and he told him, I'll be back to take care of the dog, even though he's by law been evicted, got paperwork says you're not supposed to be on this property, but they won't enforce it. So, yeah, it's been lovely. It's been lovely. And for the last 3 weeks, they've been, still burning more human waste over there because they still have no septic, running water, or electricity. So it's not an ideal situation. And, I was put in the position where I thought I could help them and maybe they would find a better place to be that was more appropriate for them. And they're determined to live on the outskirts so they can run a criminal enterprise that they think they have. It's laughable, but whatever. And it's sad to see people put that much energy toward being sorry when if they put that much energy toward at least being decent, literally, he could be a rocket scientist if he just applied his energy correctly. That's how much energy he puts toward being a piece of trash. I hit done and tripped over it 5 times and told him about it. So wasn't very nice, but niceties had passed. So he knows where I stand, and they left. He has since dumped the girlfriend in another county and left her and left the dog over here. So at least the girl got away from him. She's pregnant, but at least she got away from him. Um, who knows what's going to happen after this? But y'all, it's been a ride this last week. And I just want to sit on my porch and crochet and watch the birds eat and maybe wave at a neighbor and have a good conversation instead of, hear domestics, hear people threaten each other's lives, scream about horrible things, and, perform drug deals. I shouldn't have to watch that from my porch. So I just hit done this last few days, and it made me mad that when Sabrina was here and they knew I had company, and I told them several times, y'all need to chill, I've got company, that they continue their behavior. And it made Sabrina leave early, and it really ticked me off. So I've not been a very nice person the last few days, but hey, you get what you get, especially with me. So it's a mess. It's a mess, and people should not be given these liberties repeatedly outside of the law. They should be handled, and our law enforcement is too lazy. And he said nothing will change. I said, well, if y'all had enforced the first time, it might have meant something then, but it doesn't mean anything to them now. So that's where I've been. It's been a mess. So yeah, when I walk Luna and come out, I'm on my property. I have a firearm on me. Um, I know exactly what he's capable of. Last time he was arrested over across the field with a canine unit, he had stolen pistol on him and drugs. So I'm very aware. I have to be careful. So It's sad I have to be like this. On the bright note, the lady over here behind me that was causing all the problems last year, she sold her property and moved. So, yay! I fully expect the land to be developed, but I'm okay with that as long as they develop it and a higher level of clientele move in. I'll be okay with that. I'd love to hear kids play and young families, prosper and do well. That would be great. I would love that. Love that. Got a little boy that lives over the way. He likes to ride his bike and a little moped around here. He's a sweetie pie. I wave at him all the time. He's a little annoying at times. He likes to drift around the road and scare me, but I enjoy seeing him. And I stop talk to him, tell him to be careful, put your helmet on, stop drifting around the corner. I can't see you coming. Offer him popsicles, and his mom's a sweetheart. We've kind of made a bond, and I wish we would have that again here. That it would be very nice to have that. Have neighbors that don't have 30-year criminal histories and behaviors that are atrocious. It would be nice. Everybody has a bad day, but this has been 22 years of the same crap, and I hit done. And I hit done right in front of Sabrina and her husband, so she knows exactly how mean I can be. That's a good pop of lightning. This is about all we're gonna get, guys. The wind is puffing up though. Maybe it'll rain a little bit more. It's now blowing the rain. It stopped. It's blew the rain around us. Maybe to start back up. That's what's been going on in my world. Been lovely. I'm gonna let you hear a little bit more of the thunder, and then I'll come get it. They've been back at some point over here today because the windows are up in that little shed. I don't know what to do with the landowner. The landowner, did this whole formal eviction portrayal pantomime, but they come and go as they want to. And the landowner said, "We're trying to sell the property. Who in their right mind's going to buy it? I live next to it. You couldn't give it to me." And I dare say that even if somebody buys it, if they're not here 24/7 and watching it, they'll steal them blind or move in and take over. They'll be squatters. You won't be able to get rid of them. It's just a pain in the butt. I'll start saying something else, but it's just a pain in the butt. Um, just simple, amicable respect for each other should be had. And for 22 years, I have just tried to be a good neighbor, thinking that maybe they would, you know, role model it. Maybe they'll start to act like it. Absolutely did not happen. When I was working as an officer, I minded my P's and Q's because, they kept their thumb on my head and monitored my behavior. I didn't want to have any problems. Y'all, I'm retired. I thought I was out of the criminal world. I don't want to sit on my front porch and have to watch it 30 foot from me at the fence. I'm sick of it. And they got like 5 acres over there and put everything like 20 foot. Well, that shed is like 6 foot, well, about 2 foot from my fence. And, the house is right there. It's like they just, like the brother in the back seat going, "But I'm not touching you. I'm not touching." It's freaking irritating as hell. But that's where I've been. That's where I've been. The old man over there trying to clean that up lost his life due to the mess they were in and his health and trying to do too much and being around stuff that was not healthy. And, I would think surely they would take a hint and move on to greener pastures, but the inclination to stay in what they know so they can keep their little criminal enterprise going is apparently too strong of a draw. And I'm just over it. Just over it. They run all the good families out of here, and we've got an opportunity with some land coming open to bring in some decent people and bring this place back. And I want some good neighbors. I want some neighbors that want to prosper, that want to trade casseroles, want to check on each other. That would be lovely. I'm getting tired of my fence being used as a barter barrier to scream until I absolutely have to come to the door or go to the fence, and then being told my sugar's dropping. I need food. I need a sweet. I need this. I need a charge my phone. I need electricity. You don't need crap for me. You need to fend for yourself. Leave me the frig alone. And sadly, these people just live in a different world where they think everything should be given to them. And you're either a full blown enabler to them, or they think you hate them. If you say no, I'm sorry, I can't give you food, then they start cussing you immediately. If you say no, sorry, I don't have any more clothes to give you, oh well, you're a bitch, you're a horrible person. Well, maybe, but y'all have bled me dry. I'm done. 4 times the week that man passed away. On 4 different days, they called and said, Dad died, we need gas money. And then another one of the siblings called the next day, Dad died, I need gas money. And then the next day, Dad's fixing to die, and I need gas money to go check on Mom. She's at the hospital with him. I don't even know which day he actually died. One of the 4. Everybody in the family was calling asking for gas money. Can you help pay an electric bill? Their electric was shut off. The house had burnt down. And it's just like, my God. And I'm not going to hand somebody that, I suspect has a horrible drug problem. I'm not going to hand you cash. I did everything I could do. And it wasn't enough. They wanted more and more and more. And they didn't care how they asked for it. They just got to where they demanded it. And when I went and give it to them, their behavior got really, really bad. And then the drugs took over and they started having domestics and knockdown dragouts. And I said enough. And they're mad because I said stop behaving like animals. Ooh, the lightning around this storm is really not very nice. It is moving this way and the lightning is over here now. But my lights hang down and I'm just not sure you can really see anything over there. Let me see if I can prop things up. I appreciate you listening. This is like, I'm telling you, learn from what's going on with me. Because as the world gets to be a more dangerous place, this is going to happen more and more. People that like to take advantage are going to start really, really becoming feral. Pay attention, people. It's going to get bad. Because people that don't think they have to work, they're going to be the first people that try to create a purge within society to go out and take what they want. And it scares the crap out of me. Because these people are animalistic just because I don't want them to fight and kill each other and run my company off. So imagine how they're going to be when it's about food. Just imagine. Maybe you'll see some lightning. That's my barn. David's got to finish the rest of the roof across the front. And really all that's in it right now is we leave the big part open for his brother to put his brother and my sister-in-law to put hay in. And then the stall that is there is David's got wood stored in it because he's fixing to add on to his fur shed. And then the tack room is locked. The end of it's the tack room, and it's nothing can get in or out. But we need to put the rest of the roof on, and we'll get to it one day. Life happens. And that barn has been built over the last 13 years. We started with a tack room and a stall, and then we just hay storage and come up on the front so David could put some stuff in the front and open big bay doors to put stuff in, and never ending process. I told David that we weren't going to build any more buildings outside though, and he said, why? And I said, because people are going to think we're Amish. Margaret, how do you make holy water? You can get it blessed. Certain people bless it for you. Hey Sal, you can move right in. Bring a backhoe. You're gonna have to bury a lot. Tony, yeah, you're right. It's emotional and life energy vampires. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, Samsonite. Yeah, these storms have a lot of rain, and it has basically flooded the south end of the county, the west side of the county. Like my in-laws, and then my mom and dad have got torrential downpours, and I've been in the little whirlpool where it's had to go around because I'm the highest spot. I'm the highest spot between everybody, and it's just kind of tidy bowled around us. I hear a vehicle. Margaret, I needed that giggle. Thank you. Y'all, I think that's about it. Other than lightning, that's about all it's going to do. Let me check the radar one more time. That's about it. I was really hoping for a good, maybe a soaking shower, but oh, here comes the vehicle. Red Toyota. Not a clue who that is. Somebody with a dog in the back of the vehicle. It has split into two cells. It's now in the county west of us and the county east of us. So it's basically traveling through Big South Fork and then the county west of us. And it's two grumpy storms, but it split right around me. I just got a little tiny sprinkle. That dog's so far out of that truck. That was a red 4x4 Toyota. About a 87, 88 model. Just logging the information, sorry y'all. So we're just getting the rumbles and lightning off the edge of two storms, and we're in the little wishy-washy wind zone. That's all we're getting. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. It's a very electrical storm because I've got a earbud in one ear listening to the radar, and it keeps buzzing it when it lightens. We're getting now a cool breeze off of the rain, but it just did not do enough here. I'm going to have to pack water later. Doggone. Birds are moving back in. It's about done here. I think that's about it. That's about it. It's just going to rumble for probably 20, 25 more minutes. There are two solid, good storms on either side of us. It's been within 5 miles wrapping around for the last hour. It's just I'm too tall for it to get here. It's dropping everything on the way up, and then it doesn't have anything for here. So guess I'm gonna water my plants later. It's definitely been a wild week here, and I told the deputy that came here. I said I just want to take care of my property and have a peaceful existence. And I said I cannot have that occur with people having domestics and having drug deals and screaming at each other and screaming from the fence for me to feed them and clothe them and give them electricity. And I'm at the point where I have to handle it, or they'll just jump the fence and take what they want. And I said I can't get the cops to intervene and tell them this behavior needs to stop. And he shouldn't even legally be out there. He has eviction papers. He was told not to trespass, but the cops won't take him into custody, and the landowner is being wishy-washy. She'll tell him you don't need to be there. I don't want you on the property, but then she won't prosecute him when he's been on the property 2 or 3 times since the cop was here yesterday and told him, but you're not supposed to be here. How are you going to maintain the dog? And he said, well, I'm going to come back and feed it. And I was like, there, cop, go ahead. Call the landowner, deal with it. But they didn't do anything. That's what happens when you have a neutered police force. It's just sad. Very sad. it is my hope, though, that we get somebody that moves in when they develop this land behind us that is a good, decent person that will also help keep an eye on the goings on around here and, helpfully let the other people know, hey, we're tired of this behavior and this is going to be a good neighborhood again and we don't want these things going on here. It just takes a couple of us to start standing up to this, and then the neighborhood will become good again. We just have to let them know we're not going to tolerate this. And I hope we get someone like that. This is a place where a parent has a choice of 3 elementary schools if you live here. It's a great location. We need those people to be brave enough to move here and transition this place back to a good neighborhood. It was a good neighborhood when we first moved here, and then their behavior went to crap as more of the family went to prison. So I'm just done. But anyway, that's about it, guys. It's just we're gonna hear thunder for the next few minutes. That's it. So I may let you go since we got caught up and just got to watch a little rumble come through. I really want to catch a storm one day. We have really good ones. I just never seem to be home when we have the really good ones lately. Um, but maybe we'll catch one. It's supposed to storm again Friday, and we're gonna have a major cool down, and it's gonna heat back up. Not this weekend, but next weekend is the 127 yard sale from Ohio way on down through here. And David's going to be set up all weekend. I don't know with my health if I'll be able to do anything or not, but David's going to be set up. So maybe to stay cool and if I can enjoy the yard sales and visit and see some happy people and have a good little chit chat with some people. I enjoy people way too much to have to live here and not enjoy my neighbors. I really enjoy people, and it's a struggle for me to be here and not be able to enjoy my home. That's why I'm so happy on the farm. I don't have to deal with this farm, and the people that come in and out are good people. It's extended family, but that whole holler is decent people, and nobody's causing any issues. Well, that looks like it's about it, guys. I appreciate you spending time with me, but I think that's about all we're gonna get. So I am going to, let me see if I can come around here. I am going to go before my phone dies and check on Luna. She's taking a nap, and try to kind of get some dinner started and get ahead of the heat because it's cool right now, but it's going to heat back up. So I'm going to go in and take care of the house and do some stuff. And my legs are very swollen today from all the crap I've had to do the last few days. But I'm going to get an early start on it so I can get laid down and rest this evening and maybe have a good night's sleep. So y'all take care of yourself, watch your back, be aware. This world's fully in the handbasket on its way down. And it's sad for me to say that because I am the eternal optimist. But last week was rough on me, so. But I'll manage. Yeah, I'll get back to normal real soon. It's just I had so much go on, and I've got a lot I'm taking care of right now and processing.